On the inaugural night of the auction, a prominent figure expressed his desire to take me under his wing. I kindly reminded him, "Sir, I am also an alpha." The distinguished gentleman remained silent, while his assistant informed me that what he sought was a robust and resilient alpha, one incapable of procreation. Understanding his intentions, I promptly signed a contract worth 20 million. After a year, and with merely half a month remaining before the contract's expiration, the gentleman's assistant approached me once more. "Let us extend the agreement for another 2 years. I politely declined, stating, "I think not." Yet my body betrayed me and I found myself expecting. 1. In the affluent district of the eastern suburbs, there exists an elite private club, membership strictly regulated, with a personal net worth threshold of 50 million as the price of entry. Here, alphas adorned with bite inhibitors and omegas donned in neck collars are commodities freely available for selection. On my inaugural night, before I had the chance to don the bite inhibitor, I was already singled out by a powerful figure. The manager personally escorted me into a private room. The distinguished gentleman reclined on the sofa, his upper body shrouded in shadows, a flicker of crimson illuminating his fingertips. He exhibited no intention of speaking. I cleared my throat gently, attempting to alleviate the awkwardness. "Sir, I am also an alpha. I may not fulfill your desires." No sooner had the words left my lips than an assistant approached, presenting me with a document. "Mr. Shin, here is the contract for your perusal." Complying, I opened the document, and the assistant seized the opportunity to whisper in my ear, "Mr. Liu desires a robust, non-reproductive alpha. You fit the bill perfectly." My gaze fell upon the stark figure of 20 million in black and white. I nodded, understood. Seizing the pen, I swiftly inscribed the name Shin. The assistant retrieved the document and handed me a card along with his own business card before striding away with purpose. Only 2 individuals remained in the private room. "Come here," the distinguished gentleman commanded. I exhaled softly, donning a smile as I approached, positioning myself between his legs and kneeling on one knee. As my fingers brushed against his belt buckle, he swatted my hand away. His palm cradled my chin. The cigarette pinched between his fingers, hovering a mere centimeter from my face. "Have you been trained?" I licked my parched lips. "I have." "Do not pinch." "Understood. Assistant Lin has likely informed you why I selected you. And one more thing." His icy gaze swept over me. "You provide a service, I provide compensation. Our relationship is confined to this arrangement, and I hope you remember that." "Yes, yes, yes," I nodded vigorously. I extended 2 fingers to gently push away his hand, curving my lips into a smile. "May I inquire, Mr. Liu, what style do you prefer? Reserved? Extravagant? Loud? Or perhaps silent?" My cheeks were pinched again, a hint of pain surfacing. "I prefer the reticent." I inwardly scoffed, reminiscent of a childhood memory. 2. I found myself seated in Liu Jingyun's car. Despite the rear seats being individual compartments, separated by a considerable gap, I couldn't resist inching closer. My pheromone, a fragrant ylang-ylang, typically associated with the highest-ranking omegas, inexplicably emanated from my ordinary alpha self, occasionally spiraling out of control. Thus, confined within the narrow space, I was ever anxious about causing discomfort to others. Growing up in an orphanage, I underwent a transformation into an alpha at the age of 13, yet my pheromone exuded an almost seductive floral scent. My dormitory peers ridiculed me as an androgynous anomaly, neither alpha nor omega. Isolated, my bed was frequently drenched, and my towels and toothbrush often found their way into the restroom. That winter, I succumbed to a high fever, which triggered a chaotic release of pheromones. Fearing I would disturb others, the teachers relocated me to a solitary room at the far end of the 3rd floor. However, that space was merely a makeshift storage area. I remained confined within that room all day. In the dead of night, I heard a knock, mistakenly believing it was the doctor delivering medication. Upon opening the door, I was met with a basin of icy water that chilled me to the bone. Dazed, I could hardly muster the strength to retaliate, only wishing to cry. Yet, I dared not let a sound escape, aware of the many teachers' rooms on the 3rd floor. Holding back tears that ached in my chest, I squatted on the floor, gritting my teeth. Perhaps I still emitted some noise. A door from the diagonal room swung open. Believing it to be a teacher, I groggily stood, head bowed, ready to apologize when a warm hand lifted my chin. It was not a teacher but a boy slightly taller than me, clad in what appeared to be expensive sleepwear. His expression icy, yet I could discern the redness around his eyes. He too had likely wept. In a daze, I asked if he had also been splashed. After a brief silence, he muttered a curse, kicked the basin across the floor, and seized my wrist, dragging me into his room. His single room afforded hot showers. He dressed me in luxurious sleepwear, provided swift fever-reducing medication, and administered special suppressants. He warned me that if I cried again, he would strike me. He introduced himself as Lu Jingyun. 3. The name Lu Jingyun lingered in my thoughts. Leaning against the car window, I stole a glance at him. Throughout his life, he exuded a distinct air of aloof nobility. I remained perplexed as to why he would be present in the orphanage. Yet, after that night, his lavish single room transformed into a shared space. Lu Jingyun offered me the vacant upper bunk. He had private instructors and dined separately from us. His textbooks were entirely in English, he was skilled in combat, and he had dealt with those who had bullied me. Yet, he was incapable of doing laundry or cleaning shoes. I was, however, adept at these tasks. For 5 years I washed his clothes. I also brought him dew-kissed white roses, plucked worm-eaten green apples, and regaled him with numerous pointless jokes. When he could no longer tolerate my antics, he would pin me down on the lower bunk, covering my mouth to silence me. I would gaze at him with crescent eyes, breathing warmth into his palm. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. His ears would redden as he buried my head beneath the blanket. Consequently, I would embrace his quilt and laugh. I can no longer recall precisely when the upper bunk became vacant once more. There were moments when even the expensive suppressants could not contain my pheromones. Subtle wafts of ylang-ylang would escape. At 18, Lu Jingyun found himself unable to sleep. In a hoarse voice, he offered to fetch me a new patch, yet lingered, making no move to do so. I took the initiative. As I turned, I inadvertently brushed against his slightly parted lips. By some inexplicable force, I made contact again. On the third attempt, a butterfly fluttered towards me, landing softly, refusing to depart. The sweet fragrance of ylang-ylang enveloped the air as the butterfly gently flapped its wings, exploring its surroundings. It finally settled contentedly in a chosen spot. I pondered, in a daze, how butterflies gather nectar. Lu Jingyun offered no response, covering my mouth. Yet, I understood. A novice butterfly, filled with trepidation, would carefully pry open the flower's heart with its feet, extending its curled proboscis deep into the flower's core, instinctively sipping the nectar. I mused, it was late autumn, not typically the season for nectar gathering. Yet Lu Jingyun insisted it was. He too seemed dazed. In half a month, Lu Jingyun would depart. The day I spoke the least was the day he was taken away. I uttered nothing but a farewell. In contrast, Lu Jingyun chattered endlessly, assuring me that I could remain there, informing me of the belongings he had left for me, and promising that he would return to fetch me once he settled in at home. I believed him, enduring each day in hopeful anticipation. Yet, as the time came for me to leave the orphanage, he never returned. Those years felt like a fleeting, hollow dream. I had thought the butterfly was merely a figment of Zhuangzi's dream. Years later, it materialized into reality, yet the memory remained confined within the realm of dreams. How unfair it was that only I remembered. The car came to a smooth halt at the brightly illuminated entrance of the grand villa. Lu Jingyun exited first. Observing his poised figure, I thought, Lu Jingyun did not break his promise. He indeed came to retrieve me. Only he brought me directly to his bed. For Lu Jingyun moved swiftly, distancing himself from me by a substantial margin. A figure reminiscent of a butler approached, taking the coat from his hands, and I faintly heard Lu Jingyun call him Uncle Li. I remained stationary at the entrance. Uncle Li ambled over to me with a warm smile. "Good evening, Mr. Shin." I was slightly taken aback. "You know my surname?" Uncle Li paused for a moment before quickly restoring his smile. The young master informed me. Oh, I was somewhat curious about how Lu Jingyun introduced me. The atmosphere felt a bit stagnant, so I turned to Uncle Li and playfully inquired, "Am I the first person the young master has brought home?" Uncle Li chuckled. "Indeed, Mr. Shin, you are the very first." Well, I took him seriously, nearly failing to suppress a smile. I was led to the guest room, where Uncle Li had prepared a change of clothes for me. His implication was that Lu Jingyun had matters to attend to, and I should remain in the room. Understood. I felt like a waiting concubine, needing to freshen up first. While showering, I accidentally scrubbed the wound on my elbow, causing me to curse my reckless father and his entire lineage. Upon opening the bathroom door, I found Lu Jingyun seated at the edge of the bed, sitting upright with an air of seriousness. I chuckled awkwardly, good evening. Lu Jingyun's expression remained indifferent. Suddenly, a thought struck me, and I instinctively covered the back of my neck. As my body temperature rose, my pheromones would inevitably overflow. I had removed the suppressor patch before bathing, and now the room was permeated with a distinct ylang-ylang fragrance. I offered an apologetic smile. Mr. Lu, may I inquire if there are any suppressor patches in the room? Lu Jingyun ignored my question and walked straight into the bathroom. I sighed, covering my face. The scent in the bathroom was the most potent, and his bath would likely become increasingly uncomfortable. Half an hour later, Lu Jingyun emerged, enveloped in an aura of coldness, and took a seat at the edge of the bed. My gaze fell upon his perfectly sculpted back, a stark contrast to my own thin layer of muscle. Just as I was enviously admiring him, I suddenly heard the sound of plastic being torn open. I momentarily found myself at a loss for how to position my hands and feet. In a daze, Lu Jingyun threw back the covers, swung a leg over, and pressed down directly on me, his movements reminiscent of peeling corn. I felt a twinge of concern for his state. Gritting my teeth, I ventured to speak again. Sir, could we perhaps wait for me to apply a suppressor patch first? Lu Jingyun's gaze, devoid of warmth, swept over my face, his voice deepening slightly. Your pheromones are quite unique. Oh, thank you, I stammered. My breath hitched in pain, and instinctively, I wanted to grab and bite him as I had in the past. Thankfully, reason prevailed, and I restrained myself. Could you not at least give me a heads up? I glanced down and realized, to my dismay, that there was still half a way to go. I shut my eyes, fingers gripping the bed sheets tightly. Please just make it quick. No sooner had I finished speaking than his arm crossed over my lower back, lifting me up with a thrust. There it was, the swift conclusion. Cold sweat trickled down my brow, and I raised my arm to shield my eyes. No wonder they sought a robust and durable alpha. With his methods, who could withstand it? Are you a fool? So straightforward? I believe I can smell your pheromones now. Could you go a bit slower? Lu Jingyun paused for a moment, removing my arm, and gazed at me with a penetrating look. What's the matter? I have a name. Call me Lu Jingyun. Oh, I whispered, repeating his name softly. Damn it, my nose suddenly felt a bit prickly, perhaps from the pain. It was unclear how much time had passed. When Lu Jingyun finally ceased, the icy pheromones had completely eclipsed the ylang-ylang scent. In the past, crammed together on that small bed, I would often playfully cling to him for a long while after our antics. Although the physical sensation was searingly hot, the scent he carried was akin to the crisp morning fog of winter. A deep breath would calm my restless heartbeat. But now that was no longer possible. Lu Jingyun finished and departed, moving as swiftly as if he were being chased by a ghost. I sat up on the bed, casting my eyes over my disheveled self. Red, purple, white. I was a mess. What was the point? Of course, it was for that 20 million. Yes, I was working. What glitz and glamour were there in work? After a quick rinse, I donned my clothes and quietly left. Upon exiting the villa area, I found myself momentarily lost. I decided to head toward the brightly lit area, where it would be easier to hail a cab. Occasionally, a vehicle passed by, one resembling the car Lu Jingyun had driven tonight. I instinctively paused for a second, wondering if perhaps Lu Jingyun might have had a change of heart. However, it merely passed by, vanishing into the night in the blink of an eye. I looked down at my shadow on the ground, relieved that I had only paused for a second. Otherwise, it would have been quite embarrassing. Reaching an intersection, I pulled out my phone to find it was already 2 in the morning. Just as I was about to call for a cab, a text message popped up. It was from my negligent father, demanding I transfer him 1 million. I stared coldly at the screen, deleted the message, and blocked him. How astoundingly well-informed he was. I left the orphanage early because my biological father had come looking for me. Shin arrived with my birth certificate, dressed quite presentably, and I genuinely thought he had come to take me home. It was only upon returning that I realized he wanted me to help him raise a child. A little girl, merely 7 years old, born from his drunken coercion of an Omega woman. Shin was a compulsive gambler, prone to drunken violence, and after enduring 8 years with him, the woman could no longer bear it and fled, abandoning the child. Shin deceived me into returning home and then vanished, even stealing the cash and new phone Lu Jingyun had left for me. Furious, I kicked a chair to pieces. Turning around, I saw the little girl cowering in a corner, her hair disheveled, face ashen, and thin to the point of being all eyes. She timidly called me brother. When I did not respond, she cautiously produced a lollipop smeared with dirt and offered it to me. I did not take it, instead sitting at the doorway until night fell, pondering what work could sustain two people. Ultimately, I realized there was not much to contemplate. I would take it step by step. At my most desperate, I worked 17 hours a day, juggling 4 jobs. Thankfully, Shin was also diligent, excelling in her studies. After her differentiation into an omega, I had to dedicate part of my energy to guarding against that beast Shin Hongzhang, who was always scheming to sell Shin for money. The year before last, I made a small profit trading medicinal materials, and at the beginning of the year, I opened a supermarket near Shen Ying's high school. I tolerated Shin Hongzhang's occasional raids like a locust swarm. However, a few days ago, he set his sights on the cash register in my store. We had a fight and the place was left in shambles. While I was busy cleaning up the mess, Shin Hongzhang used my injuries as an excuse to lure Shin out of school. He drugged her and sold her to a club in the affluent outskirts. I did everything I could to infiltrate the place. Shin had already been coerced into leaving her fingerprints. I pleaded with the manager for a long time, and he finally relented, agreeing to let me substitute for Shin. It was due to my appearance and my pheromones. After ensuring Shin was safely home, I hurried back, and just as I donned the badge, the manager escorted me to a private room. Then I saw Lu Jingyun, who did not recognize me. How does one even begin to describe that feeling? It was as if heaven was both pitying me and toying with me. In any case, I had arrived at this juncture. That 20 million would be split, with the club taking 60%. The remaining 8 million. I planned to set aside 5 million for Shin Ying's future studies abroad, and 2 million as her dowry. It just so happened that I was left with 1 million. Upon returning to my rented room, it was nearly 4 in the morning. My entire body ached, and I simply collapsed onto the sofa for a brief nap. In my drowsy state, I heard Shin calling for me. Brother, you have a fever. Get up and take some medicine before going back to sleep. I opened my eyes to find that the day had already dawned. Shin had changed into her school uniform, slung her backpack over her shoulder, and was now crouched in front of me, holding water and medicine. Brother, are you coming down with a cold? Would you like to take 2 more cold pills? I shook my head, took the pill from her, and swallowed it with some water. Let us go, brother, I'll take you to school. No need, brother. You should rest well at home. I pushed her towards the door and took her backpack, slinging it over my own shoulder. Stop talking nonsense. From now on, aside from me, you are not allowed to go anywhere with anyone else. Got it? Shin wilted a little, responding with a soft "oh," obediently following behind me. After watching her enter the school gate, I made a trip to the supermarket, carrying 2 large bags of food and essentials to the security room. Shin was a boarder, only able to come home once every 2 weeks, and she never asked me for anything. I always feared that I was neglecting her needs. Leaving the school, I went to the bank, opened an account, and transferred 1 million into it. Upon returning to the community, I indeed spotted Shin Hongzhang downstairs, grinning like a weasel. Good son, I heard you're cozying up to a rich person. 1 million isn't a problem for you, right? I suppressed my disgust and threw the card on the ground. Take this money and disappear as far as you can. If I catch you approaching Shin again, I will make sure you regret it. After going upstairs, just as I fished out my keys, I heard footsteps approaching from behind. I clenched my jaw and turned around, raising my fist. Are you done with your nonsense? The last word caught in my throat as I saw a trio standing there. The first was the smiling butler.
Umklali.
The second was a suited man holding a medical kit. The third was Lu Jingyun, wearing sunglasses. I silently lowered my fist, forcing a grin. May I ask what brings you 3 here? Uncle Li spoke first. Mr. Shen, the housekeeper discovered bloodstains on your bedsheets while cleaning your room this morning. The suited man chimed in, please allow me to conduct an examination. Lu Jingyun concluded, open the door. Damn it, is there a crack in the ground I can slip into? Lu Jingyun, this pretentious person, somehow made my fabric sofa feel like genuine leather. I pulled a small stool over and sat down opposite him. The suited man, no, Dr. Xiao, looked at me with a worried expression. I forced a smile, and under the gaze of 6 eyes, I lifted my arm to show Dr. Xiao. The bleeding is from this. I got into a scuffle a few days ago and accidentally scraped it last night. But there are multiple bloodstains on the bedsheets, Uncle Lee reminded. I was past the point of embarrassment, glancing at a certain someone, and replied nonchalantly, well, it's bound to smear everywhere if you toss and turn. The air suddenly fell silent, oppressively so. Dr. Xiao cleared his throat. I think it's necessary to check just to be safe. I could not take it anymore. I closed my eyes, looked at Lu Jingyun, and kept silent, a frown on my face. We remained locked in a stalemate for half a minute. Lu Jingyun finally spoke. Wrap him up. I secretly sighed with relief. Dr. Xiao skillfully bandaged me, noticed I had a fever, and prescribed some medication, quickly packing up his medical kit. Uncle Lee was already standing by the door, seemingly ready to leave. I grabbed my hoodie, putting it on while saying goodbye, and as the door closed behind him, I popped my head out of the hoodie. The large Buddha statue on the sofa was still there. I raked my fingers through my hair, slowly tidying my clothes while stealing glances at him. Why are you still here? You picked a rose from the garden when you left last night. I averted my gaze, murmuring, well, I've never seen a white rose before. It was blooming beautifully, and I couldn't resist. I planted it. I swallowed hard, forcing a response. Well, you did a great job. There are over 10 types of flowers in the garden, but only the white rose was planted by me. I let out a couple of awkward chuckles, intending to pull out some money to compensate him 200, when he said, I told you my name is Lu Jingyun. I remember, but you called me Lu Jingyu last night twice. I fell silent. Lu Jingyu was the name that Shin had unconsciously called out while pleading with Lu Jingyun in the past. I was also out of my mind last night. I cleared my throat and awkwardly explained. I misspoke. Please don't take it to heart. Lu Jingyun's expression remained unchanged, his gaze calm. It seems your body does not reject my pheromones. Indeed, I had been infused with them 10 years ago, so how could I possibly reject them now? I forced a smile, pulling out 200 from my wallet and placing it on the coffee table. Just a coincidence. Here, consider it compensation for the rose. I won't pick any more. Lu Jingyun's scrutinizing gaze lingered on my face. Shin, what? Have we had any previous interactions? My smile faltered. Lu Jingyun's eyes held a mix of inquiry and wariness, but there was no trace of the familiarity I once knew. He looked at me as if I were a stranger. I plastered a smile back on, glancing around. Mr. Lu, I'm just an ordinary person who needs to earn money to support my sister's education. My financial situation is as you see it. If it weren't for last night, we would likely never have crossed paths. Lu Jingyun's lashes lowered, concealing his coldness. This demeanor left me momentarily dazed. I lowered my head, letting out a breath, and walked to the door to open it for him. I've kept you long enough, you should go back. As Lu Jingyun reached the door, his tone was indifferent. Clear your schedule for next Monday and Tuesday. I'll send someone to pick you up this Sunday evening. Huh? It's my sensitive period. Oh, okay. I almost overthought it again. After closing the door, I realized the implication. So, he personally brought someone to examine me for his sensitive period? Lu Jingyun's sensitive period simply meant I would be subjected to repeated encounters, but I forgot that I would also be bitten repeatedly. Pressed against the bathroom door, bitten. Against the floor-to-ceiling window, bitten. On the carpet, bitten. Pinned to his bed, bitten. Waves of long-suppressed pheromones flooded into me. I felt enveloped in a cold mist, yet the body over me was scalding hot. Familiar yet foreign, intimate yet distant. After Lu Jingyun had his fill of biting, he turned me over. I gazed blankly at the chandelier in his bedroom, struggling to differentiate between dream and reality. I raised my hand, yearning for an embrace. But upon meeting Lu Jingyun's gaze, I panicked and laughed awkwardly. In those dark eyes, there was only desire, devoid of affection, like a sharp blade that could easily cut through my days. I withdrew my hand, sinking back into the pillow. Just as I was about to turn, Lu Jingyun grasped my shoulder, hot sweat dripping from my chin, our breaths gradually steadying. I swallowed hard, uncertainly asking, "Are you feeling better?" Lu Jingyun stared at me for a few seconds, his gaze drifting to my right hand hidden in the pillow, his voice soft and raspy. "You can hold me." I froze for a moment, then slowly smiled, feeling an inexplicable wave of emotion swelling in my chest. I wasn't thinking of hugging. I just have cold hands. Lu Jingyun seemed quite satisfied with me as his bedmate. Aside from those 2 or 3 days during his sensitive period each month, I would often see his car parked downstairs or at the supermarket entrance. Most of the time, it is Assistant Lin who drives to pick me up. Occasionally, it is Lu Jingyun who comes in his own vehicle. In the villa, There now lies a pair of slippers, exclusively for my use, prepared by Uncle Lee. I can also stay there overnight, sometimes in the guest room, other times in Lu Jingyun's bedroom. He seems to have grown less aloof towards me. After smoking, he even offers me a cigarette, and when I take one of his white roses home, it goes unaccounted for. Occasionally, we have dinner together. I complain to him about the elderly stealing my fried peanuts from the supermarket, and he surprisingly does not find me bothersome, instead offering me earnest solutions. How should I put it? After listening to him, I feel immensely enlightened, as if I could acquire the supermarket across the street. Lu Jingyun appears to be more tolerant of me as well. In recent instances, when I linger in his bed in the morning, he does not urge me to rise. He merely dresses neatly, approaches the bedside, gazes down at me for a moment, and then silently departs. By the time I descend the stairs, it is nearly 10 o'clock, and to my surprise, breakfast remains on the table. Yet, I find little appetite. I poke at the edges of my sunny-side-up egg while greeting Uncle Lee, who has just returned from the garden. He hands me a white rose, claiming it had fallen to the ground. How delightful. I can take it home without hesitation. Uncle Lee sits beside me, mentioning that this year's roses have bloomed more splendidly than last year's. This realization strikes me. After the white roses bloom once more, my contract with Lu Jingyun will soon expire. If he does not intend to marry for the time being, I would quite like to continue this arrangement with him. A fortnight before the contract's expiration, Lu Jingyun flies abroad for a merger negotiation, and Assistant Lin informs me that it will take a month. I exhale a sigh of relief, as I had been fretting over how to decline if he required my presence in the final half-month. Now, it seems, the deal can conclude early, which is splendid. However, the next day, Assistant Lin arrives at the supermarket with a new contract. Mr. Shin, Mr. Lu wishes to extend for another 2 years. I politely decline. I'd rather not. Assistant Lin's expression falters. May I inquire about the reason? I smile faintly. Health reasons. My body has proven uncooperative. I am pregnant. Approximately 2 weeks prior, I noticed an unusual dependency on Lu Jingyun's pheromones. When we share a bed, I find myself unable to resist rolling towards him, or more precisely, yearning to nestle in his embrace. This is highly unusual. During my sensitive periods, I never felt such cravings. Even more bizarre is my newfound laziness. I can no longer carry rice as swiftly as before, and after a day of inactivity, I feel weary. Most strange of all is my loss of appetite. Even after a day of hunger, I feel nauseous, with occasional mild cramps in my lower abdomen. I feared I had contracted a serious illness and resolved to seek early treatment. The day before Lu Jingyun's business trip, I visited the hospital. After a series of examinations, I discovered that no grave illness afflicted me. Rather, I had gained an additional life. Nestled within me, in a reproductive cavity stimulated by Lu Jingyun's pheromones, was a life that had been forcibly expanded multiple times. The doctor indicated that it was barely larger than a grain of rice. It would not continue to develop, nor would it grow larger with the fetus. I comprehended that a life within me was wilting away. In at most 3 months, it would conclude itself. I couldn't help but smile. Truly, it is my offspring already saving me money before birth. Upon leaving the hospital, I discarded all the medical records into a trash bin. My hand moved slowly, but I caught sight of the tiny black dot on the ultrasound report, reminiscent of an apple seed, which struck me again. In truth, given the chance, I'd quite like to spend money on you. A month later, Shun Ying returned from her break and immediately came to my supermarket upon exiting the school. She chattered incessantly, asking what I wanted for lunch, insisting on purchasing it. This was the peak of our busy period, and though I had little appetite, I thought for a moment and replied, "Please bring a bowl of congee, plain rice congee." Shin pouted, expressing her discontent. "What's up with that, bro? Xiao Mei said you've been drinking congee every day recently. Are we in debt or something?" I couldn't help but laugh. This girl was overly sensitive. Not at all. I dislike being in anyone's debt. I simply wish to drink congee. Is that so wrong? Besides, I'm still managing the supermarket, so why would I starve? I handed her a 100 yuan note. "Go eat at the store and bring me some back afterward. Understood?" Shin Ying refused to take my money and walked off in a huff. 20 minutes later, she returned with a bowl of congee. She called Xiao Mei to assist with the register and then tied on an apron to organize the shelves. Very well. I carried the bowl of congee into the storeroom, where the only computer desk was piled high with near-expiration products. I grabbed a small stool, leaned against the shelves, and took a couple of slurps when suddenly a shadow loomed before me. My gaze fell upon immaculate handmade leather shoes, then straight trousers, followed by a well-tailored suit, and finally, a cold yet handsome face. I licked my lips, stood up, and placed the plastic container on a nearby shelf, greeting him with a smile. Was your business trip successful? Lu Jingyun remained silent, his gaze sweeping down my neck, eventually resting on my wrist. You've lost weight. I was momentarily taken aback, quickly retreating my hand behind my back and chuckling awkwardly. It's just the dark clothing that makes me appear slimmer. Lu Jingyun lifted his eyes to meet mine, his tone grave. I am not blind. How does one respond to that? A smile would have to suffice. Lu Jingyun continued to scrutinize me, as if his gaze could ignite anger. His pheromones wafted through the air, initially insignificant, yet now exerting an irresistible allure over me. If he lingered any longer, I feared I would rush forward and embrace him fervently. I cleared my throat, adopting a serious demeanor to dismiss him. Lu Jingyun, if there's nothing else, please leave. The delivery driver is due soon, and I need to prepare the storeroom. Have you been to the hospital? What? Assistant Lin mentioned you have health issues. Oh, I scratched my nose, my voice involuntarily lowering. I went. What did the doctor say? Lu Jingyun's intensifying pheromones stirred an itch in my heart. I clenched my palms, unable to resist retreating. The doctor said it would get better after a while. After a while? How long? 8 or 9 months. Lu Jingyun pressed forward, forcing me to backpedal. It won't take that long. At most another month, I stammered. My back hit the wall, and I realized I had fallen into some trap. A wave of embarrassment washed over me, while Lu Jingyun's demeanor remained composed. You refuse me due to health reasons but are evasive about the specifics of your ailment, leaving me no choice but to speculate. I turned my head away, avoiding his penetrating gaze. Could it not be an infectious disease? The air fell silent for a moment before a cold snort broke it. You likely lack the energy for that. Lu Jingyun's words were tactful, yet I felt my cheeks flush with heat. Stealing a glance at him, I awkwardly spoke. Well, it's not a particularly glorious matter, which is why I hadn't planned on sharing it with anyone. Am I just anyone? Lu Jingyun's suddenly elevated voice caught me off guard. I stared at him, blinking. What else would you be? Lu Jingyun wore a stoic expression, remaining silent. I quickly racked my brain and suddenly thought of something, hastily adding. Rest assured, Mr. Lu, I cannot carry this child to term, so you need not worry about me coming to you for child support in the future. I haven't mentioned this to anyone, so you needn't fret about your reputation being tarnished. I blurted out a lengthy explanation, only to notice Lu Jingyun's expression growing increasingly grim, his brows furrowing as he took a step closer. Yet, I had nowhere left to retreat, feeling increasingly awkward. Don't stand so close. I feel quite uncomfortable, I said, intending to push him away. However, Lu Jingyun suddenly grasped my wrist firmly. We need to go to the hospital. He nearly dragged me out the door. I sighed and called out to him, Mr. Lu, I completely understand your urgency to terminate the pregnancy, but there's no need to rush. The delivery driver is about to arrive. Can I please finish unloading first? There are only 2 girls in the supermarket. I can't just leave them. Before I could finish my sentence, a small delivery truck stopped in front of the supermarket. I immediately shook off Lu Jingyun's grip, gave him a gentle shove, and reached for my cigarette pack to greet the person jumping down from the truck. Welcome, Brother Yu. Brother Yu beamed broadly as he accepted the cigarette I offered. Did I interrupt your lunch? No, I had it early, I replied. As I lit his cigarette, Lu Jingyun approached me, confiscating my lighter and the freshly opened pack of cigarettes, pulling me aside with a firm grip. I lowered my voice. Can't you let me finish unloading? He has to deliver to the next stop. What do you call him? Brother Yu. Did you not hear me? What's his full name? Yu Hai. The Yu from to go. The sea of the ocean. Is that satisfactory? To my astonishment, Lu Jingyun nodded solemnly, as if it were a matter of great significance. It was utterly baffling. Just as Brother Yu began unloading the goods, Lu Jingyun still held on to me tightly. I was about to lose my temper when a head popped out from behind the shelves. Shin was watching us with a curious expression. Lu Jingyun glanced at her and beckoned. Come here. Shin hurried over, and Lu Jingyun pointed at me, saying, Keep an eye on him. He then removed his suit jacket and stuffed it into my arms before leaving without a word. Shin linked her arm with mine, her eyes sparkling with infatuation. Bro, is he going to help us carry the rice? I stared at Lu Jingyun, who was heading straight for the truck's trunk, silently calculating the labor costs. Perhaps. Lu Jingyun moved the goods one after another, and the number of elderly women in the supermarket grew. I sighed and called out to the snack area, Auntie, please don't spit the sunflower seed shells on the floor. The aunt said nothing, instead whispering to another nearby aunt, her gaze flitting back and forth to Lu Jingyun. I grinned mischievously at Lu Jingyun as he passed by. Someone's about to introduce you to a lovely girl. Lu Jingyun shot me a glare. After emerging from the storeroom, he walked straight towards me with his hands hanging at his sides, saying, wipe my sweat. My playful mood vanished in an instant. I stuffed my hands into my pockets and looked away. I didn't bring any tissue. As soon as I finished speaking, a pack of tissues was thrust into my hand. Bro, I brought some. Seeing that I didn't move, Shin forcefully shoved the pack into my hands and then dashed off to the snack area. Bro, I'm gonna clean up the sunflower seed shells, so don't wander off too far. I was speechless. I lifted my eyelids and responded with annoyance. Don't you have hands of your own? Lu Jingyun waved his grimy hand in front of my face. I pouted, finding his fussiness excessive. We could simply wipe it off with the back of our hands. I pulled out a tissue and wiped it across his forehead, muttering softly, if I wipe your sweat, you can't demand payment from me anymore. Lu Jingyun turned his face away and lifted his chin. Then you need to wipe more thoroughly. What a nuisance. Lu Jingyun finished unloading all the goods in 20 minutes. While he went to wash his hands in the restroom, I took 2 bottles of water to Brother Yu. When I first opened the supermarket, I knew nothing, and Brother Yu introduced me to several suppliers. I genuinely appreciated him. Brother Yu only took 1 bottle of water. Just as I was about to offer him a cigarette, I remembered that Lu Jingyun had confiscated my pack. I could only smile awkwardly. Brother Yu chuckled and glanced over my shoulder. See you, Xiao Sun. After watching Brother Yu leave, I turned around and saw Lu Jingyun in a black shirt. I had no idea how long he had been standing there. I walked over to return his jacket and handed him the remaining bottle of water. Thank you for your help. I'll inform the others. I don't want it, he replied. My hand with the water froze mid-air. Well, fine then. After briefing Xiao Mei, I found Shin in the storeroom. This afternoon, you take my place for a bit. If I'm not back by 6, close up early. And don't wait for me for dinner. Understood? Shin Ying's eyes sparkled. Bro, am I really going to be an aunt? Seeing my silence, Shin Ying hurriedly explained. Bro, I didn't eavesdrop on purpose. That guy went around the supermarket and then directly into the storeroom. He had a cold expression, so I thought he was looking for trouble with you. Just as I was about to leave with the broom, I heard him say you looked thinner. I couldn't help but listen in. I'm sorry? Bro, Shin Ying's voice dwindled as she spoke. I chuckled helplessly and patted her head. I'm not mad. There's no need for apologies. As for you being an aunt, don't even think about it. That's not happening. What? And as for that cold-faced guy you mentioned, he is my former boss. Our relationship is not what you think. Shin Ying let out an "oh," her expression shifting to one of embarrassment as she left. When I got into Lu Jingyun's car, he was busy typing on his phone. Once he set it down, I asked, are we going to that hospital I've been to before? Lu Jingyun seemed not to hear me, silently fastening his seatbelt and steering the car onto the road. What had I done to provoke him? Today, Lu Jingyun was behaving quite strangely. The road ahead grew increasingly familiar, and I couldn't resist speaking up again. You're not taking me back to your house, are you? My condition isn't suitable for that. Shin Sun, Lu Jingyun's voice was tinged with barely suppressed irritation. We're not in a contractual relationship anymore. I understand. Please don't be angry. Lu Jingyun fell silent. During the pause at a red light, I tentatively asked, then why are you taking me back? As the light turned green, Lu Jingyun glanced at me, his expression returning to its usual impassivity. Couldn't it simply be to take you out for a meal? Oh, but I've already eaten. Those 2 sips of rice soup count as a meal? Well, I'm full for now. Lu Jingyun seemed to find humor in my response. Then you can just watch me eat. What a tease. The meal Lu Jingyun treated me to was anything but simple. It was almost a full spread of 8 major cuisines. It resembled a banquet, perhaps an extravagant feast. Lu Jingyun went upstairs to change his clothes, while Uncle Li persistently served me food with a pair of chopsticks. Before long, Lu Jingyun reappeared in the dining room, pulling out a chair beside me and sitting down. After piling a mound of food onto my plate, he began peeling shrimp. I was about to ask when we would head to the hospital, but his phone rang. Lu Jingyun remained unhurried, placing a perfectly peeled shrimp into my bowl before lifting his hand to answer the call. I took his phone from him, and when I saw the caller ID read Mother, I quickly dropped it onto the table as if it burned my hand. Lu Jingyun shot me a glance but continued peeling shrimp leisurely. Answer it, put it on speaker. Okay. I quickly pressed a couple of buttons, and the next moment, a voice filled with anger came through. Why did you cancel our lunch today? Lu Jingyun directly brought the peeled second shrimp to my lips. I was preoccupied with munching on my melon seeds and instinctively opened my mouth to receive it, chewing while I heard him say, First, I never agreed to meet you. You took matters into your own hands. Second, I have already informed you that I do not have an affinity for omegas. Lu Jingyun, what is your attitude? My attitude has remained unchanged over the years. It is you who has been exerting futile efforts. Lu Jingyun, after my furious exclamation, the phone was filled only with the faint sound of trembling breaths. I could vividly imagine Madame Lu, furious, her eyes tightly shut, gasping for air. However, Lu Jingyun remained unperturbed, his voice flat as he said, If there is nothing else, I'm hanging up. He gestured for me to end the call, but I dared not move, pretending to be engrossed in my surroundings. Just as Lu Jingyun removed his gloves, Madame Lu's voice echoed through the phone, tinged with a sorrowful sob. Lu Jingyun, must you be entangled with that alpha? Are you spying on me? Lu Jingyun frowned, displeased. Spying? Yes. I am indeed monitoring you. Lu Jingyun, with your eldest sister and second brother gone, you are all I have left. Why won't you listen to me? I sensed that I should not listen to what Madame Lu was about to say next, and was preparing to slip away when Lu Jingyun pressed down on my shoulder. I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, hearing Madame Lu's near breakdown lamenting. The director of the treatment center personally assured me that you had forgotten everything, that you had changed. Yet, the moment you encounter him, you are led by the nose once more. What is so special about him? He is merely an alpha. Why can't you forget him? After a bout of sobbing, Madame Lu hung up. Lu Jingyun remained silent, his gaze fixed on the phone until the screen went dark, the color draining from his face, and he did not respond for quite some time. I glanced at Uncle Lee, who shook his head awkwardly at me. I misinterpreted his gesture as a signal for me to step back. Just as I began to rise, Lu Jingyun suddenly grasped my wrist. In that fleeting moment of looking at me, his eyes betrayed an unmasked panic. His throat bobbed twice before he regained his voice. Are you full? I nodded. Lu Jingyun fell silent again, his gaze drifting into the void, lost in thought. I found it hard to remain still and cleared my throat, cautiously inquiring, So, when are we going to the hospital? Lu Jingyun snapped back to reality. Are you feeling unwell again? I shook my head. He seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Then there is no rush to go to the hospital. We can go tomorrow. I raised an eyebrow. Aren't you eager to get rid of it? No. Lu Jingyun's voice unexpectedly rose, but upon meeting my gaze, he seemed to deflate like a punctured balloon. I apologize, it's my fault for not being clear. When I said I'd take you to the hospital at the supermarket, I did so because I heard you say you were uncomfortable, not in the way you think. Lu Jingyun looked at me earnestly. Shin Sun, I will take responsibility for both you and the child. Oh, I don't need you to take responsibility. As for the child, you won't have that opportunity. What do you mean? Lu Jingyun's usually steady voice trembled slightly. I smiled faintly, recalling the doctor's words, and had yet to compose my thoughts when my phone rang. The moment I answered, Shin Ying's crying voice filled my ears. Brother, Shin Hongzhong is at the supermarket. The entrance of the supermarket was packed with people. I pushed my way through the crowd, finding Shin Hongzhong gripping Shen Ying's hair, threatening her to open the cash register. Brother, she pleaded. Shin Hongzhong, are you seeking death? I seized an iron box from the counter and hurled it at the back of his head. Let her go. Shin Hongzhong, reeking of alcohol and with bloodshot eyes, suddenly shoved Shin Ying forward just as I was about to strike him. I hurriedly caught Shin Ying, stumbling back 2 steps and crashing into the sharp edge of a glass cabinet, cold sweat instantly trickling down my back. Brother, are you okay? I forced a smile, shaking my head as I embraced Shin Ying, retreating to the side to give Lu Jingyun space. Lu Jingyun shot me a glance before stepping forward and delivering a powerful kick to Shin Hongzhong's chest. As he fell to the ground, curses erupted from his lips, but Lu Jingyun seized his collar and rained down punches, relentless as ever, whether clad in a suit or in a simple white t-shirt and sweatpants. Brother, what are you laughing about? Are you hurt or not? You look pale, Shin exclaimed. I snapped back to reality, shaking off the pain as I comforted her. I'm fine. By the way, did you call the police? What about Xiaomei? Shin nodded. I called the police as soon as Shin Hongzhang came in. Sister Xiaomei rushed in to block him and got pushed down, hitting her head. I told her to hide in the storeroom. Another wave of pain washed over me, and I took a deep breath, clenching my fists. You did well. Go to the storeroom now, help Sister Xiaomei out, and I'll call a car to take you both to the hospital. Shin stood there, head down, in a daze. What's wrong? Her voice trembled with unshed tears. Brother, it looks like you're bleeding. A lot. Following her gaze, I looked down to see my light gray sweatpants stained dark, with bright red splatters on my white sneakers. I froze for a moment, instinctively raising my hand to press against my abdomen. When I looked up, I found myself locking eyes with Lu Jingyun, whose eyes were red-rimmed. My mind felt hazy, unsure of how to react. Shinsun. Suddenly, my knees buckled. Damn it, it seems I have a faintness at the sight of blood. Upon opening my eyes, I saw a white ceiling. On my second glance, I noticed Lu Jingyun sitting beside the hospital bed. He rested his elbows on his knees, head bowed, a few strands of hair falling over his forehead, his tie askew, and his cuffs stained with blood. I extended my hand from under the blanket and poked him. Lu Jingyun jolted upright. You're awake. Is there anywhere you feel unwell? I shook my head. What about Shin? She's in the next ward. With Xiaomei. Shin Hongzhang has been taken to the police station. I've already instructed a lawyer to charge him with the most severe offenses. I nodded, momentarily at a loss for words. Yet Lu Jingyun's gaze on me held an unspoken urgency. I managed to smile. If you have something to say, just say it. After a prolonged silence, Lu Jingyun finally spoke. The child did not survive.
I'm sorry.
I know, it was never meant to be. Lu Jingyun's brow furrowed, his eyes clouded with guilt, even avoiding my gaze. Shinsun, the doctor said that no adult alpha can conceive. But your body had already been affected by my pheromones long before, so at that time your body began to undergo changes. However, but you forgot. I interjected calmly, therefore you believed I was just an ordinary alpha, that you could do as you pleased. Lu Jingyun shook his head, shame flickering in his eyes. That's not it. In fact, when faced with you, I often find it hard to control myself. That night, I told you your pheromones were special. My first impression was not one of heat but of familiarity. So the next day, I asked you if we had any prior contact, but you told me we hadn't. Yes, I lied to you. Why? I sighed softly, gazing at the ceiling light before shifting my focus back, smiling, because I felt that you wouldn't believe it at that time, at least not completely. Lu Jingyun fell silent. After a long pause, he looked up at me, his tone nearly pleading. Shinsun, can you tell me what happened in the past? Now it was my turn to be silent. Where should I begin? From my tumultuous yet fortunate 13 years. However, many of these matters are trivial and inconspicuous, and I feel somewhat embarrassed to mention them. Lu Jingyun and I are, after all, worlds apart. Over the years, I often pondered that the special treatment I received from Lu Jingyun must have been a result of my fortunate alignment with time, place, and circumstance. He seemed to regard his visits to the orphanage merely as a completion of a task, and once the mission was accomplished, he would return to his own realm. To me, love was a gift, yet for Lu Jingyun, it might have been merely an accessory. Thus, I once believed that his failure to come for me was a fitting and reasonable development in the narrative. Yet, years later, we encountered one another once more. Lu Jingyun appeared to be engaged in another task, having erased his memories, yet I found myself irresistibly drawn to him. This time, however, I reminded myself not to expect a particular outcome, but rather to savor the journey. For while the outcome of blooming flowers is predetermined, the process of their blossoming is entirely novel. Therefore, I found myself surprisingly indifferent to whether Lu Jingyun remembered me. Getting to know each other anew was quite delightful. Yet now, Lu Jingyun sought to understand the past me. I offered a slight smile, raising my eyes to meet his. Lu Jingyun, what is it that you wish to hear from me? Lu Jingyun spoke in a hoarse voice. Why do I plant white roses in the garden? I was taken aback. It turned out that he didn't even know the reason behind his choice of flowers. Yet now, he was certain it was connected to me. I chuckled softly, shamelessly responding. Perhaps it's because I have given you white roses many times. Why did you give them to me? I lowered my eyes, my voice involuntarily dropping. Because I liked you. Did you like the flowers? Or did you like me? Answer me, Shin Sun. Here we go again. The typically composed Lu Jingyun now wore a furrowed brow, his eyes filled with urgency, resembling the figure from my memories. I turned my gaze elsewhere, allowing a reminiscent smile to grace my lips. I liked the way that person smiled when receiving flowers, yet the rose vines were nearly stripped bare by my hand, and I never saw him smile. I assumed he did not like them, so I stopped gifting them. Lu Jingyun silently regarded me, his gaze intense and fervent, as if searching for something within my eyes. After a long moment, he cast his eyes downward, his lashes trembling, his voice strained. I must have smiled. I just didn't let you see it. Suddenly, a warmth surged in my eyes. Lu Jingyun had not regained his memories. He was merely analyzing his past self through his current experiences. Does this imply that the Lu Jingyun of today also? I inhaled deeply, smiling as I asked, Lu Jingyun, do you think a person can fall in love with another repeatedly? A flicker of realization passed through Lu Jingyun's eyes. After a brief silence, he slowly raised the back of his hand to gently brush against my face. What do you think? I blinked away the tears that obscured my vision, pressing my lips into a smile. Well, I'm not certain. Lu Jingyun chuckled self-deprecatingly, his head slightly bowed. Actually, I'm not too certain either. After the internal strife in my family, following the successive deaths of my elder sister and second brother, I was secretly sent to an orphanage. After I turned 18, they brought me back and sent me to a private hospital. I was treated by those specialists for 2 years, and my mind became increasingly vacant, to the point where I even forgot why they were treating me. That orphanage, along with those years, has become nothing but a hollow shell in my memory. All I recall is that I was there and then left. Lu Jingyun lifted his gaze to meet mine, pain and guilt swirling in his eyes. Shin Sun, I was never an emotionally abundant person. After leaving the treatment center, I was uncertain whether I still possessed the ability to love someone, but with you, I gradually realized that I did not want to let go. I curved my lips upward, softly inquiring, do you wish to change the ending? What? Lu Jingyun's eyes glimmered with a hint of adorable confusion. I laughed lightly, shaking my head slightly as I asked again, would you like a hug? Lu Jingyun appeared taken aback. With a half sigh, half smile, I extended my hand from under the blanket, saying, I would like to embrace you. Lu Jingyun abruptly stood up, then slowly and somewhat awkwardly bent down. I wrapped one arm around his shoulder, resting my chin upon it, feeling the subtle tremor of his breath. Lu Jingyun, if I do not let go, will I still be confined to the hospital? A warm drop of liquid fell upon my neck. No, the Lu Jingyun at 18 was at the mercy of others, while the Lu Jingyun at 28 commands others. I broke into a smile, teasingly remarking, yet it seems the 28-year-old Lu Jingyun has forgotten how to love. Lu Jingyun pulled back, grasping my hand, his eyes still tinged with red as he urgently asked, you've seen it? Haven to you? Seen what? Seen how I love you. In that instant, my nose tinged with a hint of sourness. It was precisely because I had seen it that I could not help but draw closer. Perhaps my expression had already conveyed the answer to Lu Jingyun. He gently brushed the corners of my eyes with his fingers, earnestly stating, I would like to appoint you as my assessor, to evaluate my performance, with standards determined by you, and monthly scoring. You need not do anything except tell me the score at the end of each month, and I will know how to adjust my strategy. Well, it sounded rather peculiar. I blinked, half smiling, and asked, what is your target score? Of course, it's 100. Oh, would you like to know your starting score? After a moment of contemplation, Lu Jingyun replied, 20? I stifled a laugh, shaking my head as I raised a finger beside my face, indicating 1 point. All right. I laughed until my eyes squinted. Silly Lu Jingyun. How could he not see how hard I was trying? I spent a week in the hospital. On the day of my discharge, Lu Jingyun's lawyer arrived at the ward. He informed me that the verdict for Shin Hongzhang had been rendered, with the maximum penalty of 5 years. Lu Jingyun was in the midst of putting on my socks, not lifting his head or uttering a word. The lawyer immediately understood. Rest assured, Mr. Lu, once he is out, we can easily find an excuse to send him back in. Only then did Lu Jingyun respond with a brief mm. After the lawyer left, I quietly inquired, Doesn't this count as skirting the edges of legality? Lu Jingyun shot me a glance, grasping my other ankle. Not at all. His base salary starts at 3 million a year. What's wrong with a little side hustle? Perhaps I had been overthinking it. After spending so long in the hospital, upon my discharge, I rushed straight to the supermarket. Following Shin Hongzhang's ruckus on 2 occasions, the supermarket's business would surely be affected. Thus, I discussed with Lu Jingyun about closing this store and reopening a new one. We had already selected a location for the new supermarket, situated just across the street from Lu Jingyun's company building. The immediate task at hand was to handle the closure of the current store. We would return what we could, and for the rest we would sell at discounted prices. The elderly love a good bargain, so we would surely recoup some losses. Xiaomei was still recuperating, and Shining had gone to school, so Lu Jingyun arranged for a van to help me. The men were all in suits and leather shoes, making it so that the older ladies hesitated to enter the store. It wasn't until I grabbed a loudspeaker and called out that they scampered in with their little cloth bags. Lu Jingyun also participated in the store closing activities, insisting on driving his 50 million yuan car to deliver 200 yuan worth of goods. I had to accompany him. Otherwise, the buyers would be too intimidated to accept the delivery. Once we finished, it was just about the end of the month. After dinner, I was wandering in Lu Jingyun's garden when he found me, looking serious and anxious as he asked, "What score can I get?" I nearly failed to respond. Stifling a laugh, I plucked a dew-kissed white rose and tucked it into his lapel. "What do you think?" Lu Jingyun lowered his eyes to the flower, tentatively suggesting, 60? Silly Lu Jingyun. With my hands clasped behind my back, I sauntered along, languidly stating, "Indeed, it's 60. After covering some distance, Lu Jingyun caught up with me, halting before my path. His Adam's apple bobbed twice before he spoke. Did I misjudge earlier? Squinting slightly, I tilted my head to scrutinize him for a moment. Suddenly, a thought struck me. "Lu Jingyun, what do you intend to do once you achieve a perfect score with me?" "Propose," he replied. I raised an eyebrow. "To me?" Lu Jingyun appeared a bit flustered. "Who else?" I chuckled softly. "But I cannot bear you children." Lu Jingyun nodded with earnest gravity. "Neither can I." To prevent any further surprises, I underwent a minor procedure during your hospitalization. My eyes widened. Is it the kind of procedure I am thinking of? Yes. The revelation left me momentarily speechless. I gazed at the night sky, then back at Lu Jingyun. After a prolonged pause, I managed to utter, "So, does that mean your vast estate will be without an heir?" Lu Jingyun seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, a smile flickering in his eyes as he took my hand and began to walk back. "What heir do I need? Spend as much as you desire. If you can't exhaust it all, just donate the rest." Complying, I opened the document, and my assistant seized the opportunity to whisper in my ear, 100,000? You'd need several lifetimes to spend that. I laughed heartily. "Would you be willing to teach me how to spend money?" "Certainly. First step. Don't open the supermarket. One person in our family earning is sufficient." I withdrew my hand and jumped in front of him. "Are you trying to trap me at home?" Lu Jingyun reached for my hand again. "I would like to confine you at home starting tomorrow." "Why?" It dawned on me that tomorrow marked his sensitive period. Clinging to the doorframe, I said seriously, "Lu Jingyun, you have only scored 60. Do not entertain thoughts beyond that." Lu Jingyun pried my hand away, nudging me inside. "I merely wish for you to accompany me in conversation." "Is that too much to ask?" I huffed. "You had better mean that." The end of the text. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next story.